Hello? Bill? Oh, there's no Bill. Bill? Bill?
You've got something written down here about licorice for a change.
I know, right? Breaking from the usual form. Yeah, we got an email from an Alexander Mukalov, I believe. And he has a short licorice anecdote that I wanted to share.
Okay.
So from the email, he says, I was working in Italy in an ice cream shop, in brackets, a galateria.
That sounds wonderful.
It does, doesn't it? And about every 10 days, I had to go and do a new portion of the licorice ice cream. Now, can we all take a second here and just don't let those words sink in? Licorice ice cream. Anyways, he goes on and says, I hated it. When you need to mix the licorice dust with some hot water, it gets so messy. You start inhaling this dust, feeling it in your mouth without tasting it, and later, when I was putting it in the containers, I needed to add some pieces of licorice on top of the ice cream, so my hands and everything around always got sticky. This made me hate licorice, even though the ice cream itself wasn't so bad. The end. And I love that. And it's this thing where it's like, I was reading that and I was like, I don't understand what about this isn't the ideal scenario. Being like semi-submerged in like a vat of ice cream, throwing licorice bits around the place. It's great.
Yeah, but making everything sticky is horrible.
Yeah, but like licorice sticky. You see, the thing is, the licorice makes everything better. It's like that thing, Bill, you know, if you put the word laser in front of anything, that something gets automatically cooler. It's the same thing. Like, you can take any...
Laser podcast.
Laser podcast. You take anything and put the word licorice in front of it, and it automatically becomes tasty and wonderful. A fact, truth. It's part of the rules of the internet, you know, so. Anyway, shout out to Alexander there. That was an awesome email, and it made me laugh, so I wanted to chuck it in.
Thank you for the story.
Yeah, it was really good. Alright, so what else, Bill?
Well, let's talk about the comments from the last episode a little, from the Reddit.
Did you see them? They were crazy.
Yeah, we got tons. I think that's probably our most comments ever.
By a country mile, like a huge chunk. We had like 170 odd comments, which is huge. And this is testament again to the fact that whenever Eric Lang does something for me, it goes really well for Edgar. And then Eric gets little to no payback off it. I don't know, Eric. Apparently, some members of the of Artifexia bought some books off Eric, which was awesome.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, he said he saw a spike in traffic for his book, so that was great. I felt really good about that. But yeah, 170 odd comments, and it was great. So I just want to thank the population of Artifexia again, because it was just awesome. And both me and you, I think we really got stuck in last month. Like, it was really good.
In the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much
There's
so.
bits where I was like, oh, I'll leave this bit. Bill's got that. And Bill's off in one corner having another conversation. I'm off in one corner having another conversation. And it's like, it really was this feeling of like, we're all in a room together, like discussing nerd stuff. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
There was a pretty lengthy comment thread with two members not actually talking to us at all, but just talking to each other about conlanging, which was pretty great to see.
Yeah.
So a little community forming without our input. Exactly.
I always encourage that. Like, even on YouTube as well, if I see that thing is started, I don't step in. I'm just like, no, you go for it. You do your thing. So yeah, it was great. That was incredibly awesome to see that comment thread. So thanks a lot to everyone in Artifexia. Oh, speaking of the comment thread, Bill. We should probably mention the heraldic description of the beautiful flag of Fez Boulamain.
Agreed. Yes, we definitely should. So this was Zithro on the thread for the last episode. Thank you very much, Zithro, who pointed out that the seal of Febulaman actually breaks a bunch of the rules, you know, strictly speaking from a heraldic point of view, and is not strictly blazonable. But they had a stab at describing it. So it goes something along the lines of Vert, a bend azur, in the dexter base, the outline of a horse rampant ghouls, in the sinister sheaf, the outline of a mountain sable.
That is amazing. I love the way humans have developed this language. Does that mean anything to you, Bill? Do any of those words mean anything to you?
some of the colours. I know what a horse is. And I know what, like, rampant means, and, like, dexter and sinister.
I now know what a rampant is, but I do not know what a dexter or sinister is. What are they?
Dexter means means right, and sinister means left.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so dexter base would mean, like, left, bottom left?
The bottom right.
Oh, bottom right, sorry, yeah, but the base would mean the bottom. Oh.
I assume so.
Why don't they just say left and right?
Because they didn't use those words in Latin, I guess.
Oh, is that what's going on? See, I don't know about how this language developed at all.
Like, it's just a particular terminology. Like, it's just kind of a professional jargon.
It is really cool though. Like,
yeah.
This sort of thing. It's like real life Star Trek technobabble that actually functions. It's great. I love it.
And so it's not like technobabble because it does mean something.
You know what I mean? It's like that sort of style, like.
But yeah, dexter and sinister. So dexterous, as in, you know, nimble and agile, comes from that, and sinister comes from left because people who were left-handed weren't trustworthy.
Yeah.
And like, they were clumsy, but if you were right-handed, you were dexterous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. Ah.
Now, I don't know if that's definitely the case, but I'm pretty sure it's the case, and it's certainly a widely accepted folk etymology, so...
Wow, that's really cool. That is really cool. I'm going to go look into this heraldic thing a little bit more.
That's more general than heraldic, that's what I just specifically said. But...
No, I know, but like, based off this, like, I think I am... Yeah, it's cool. So thank you to, who was the Redditor who dropped it?
Zithro.
Yeah, thank you to Zithro for throwing that in, because that is beyond our skill to muster up. Alright, and so do we have anything else noteworthy to talk about in the comments?
There were people suggesting what the best bones to inject the X substance from Dagger would be. Someone suggested the tiny bones in your ears, which is horrific.
And then there was, we had fingers. You had the fingers from last time. We had someone say the sternum would be a good idea. And then someone said about injecting into, like, your sinuses. In particular, they said cephaloid sinuses. Now, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that differs from normal sinuses, but boy, is that body horror. Like, regardless of whether or not it's bone or not, that is extremely gruesome. Like, injecting into the ducts in your face. Like, that is awesome.
Let's look it up. Where are your sphenoid sinuses?
Yeah, they look like...
They're contained within the body of the sphenoid. Thanks, Google. That's helpful.
Grr, Google.
It was like the time that I came across a word I didn't know when I was reading a novel on my Kindle, and the Kindle is great that it has a dictionary, so you just, like, press down on the word and it comes up with a dictionary definition. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, I read a lot of this historical naval fiction, which is full of words that aren't in the dictionary because no one uses them anymore, and they've got, like, very specific meanings. But this word did. It was unshriven.
Unshriven?
Unshriven. I was like, I don't know what that means, so I went to look it up, and the Kindle definition dictionary was not shriven. Yeah, thanks. That is real helpful.
Well, did you find out what shriven is?
I did, and now I cannot remember, so I guess thereby disproving the old saying, live and learn. Shriven, let's go to the dictionary.
That's great. Well, hang on. Don't get off track with your sinuses here.
I told you, they're in the sphenoid.
Oh, right, yeah, that's of course, yeah.
The sphenoid bone is kind of like between the eye and the temple, I think.
You see, isn't that gruesome, like?
Yeah.
That is really cool.
That's horrific.
So while you're looking up the definition of shriven, as arbiter of the canon for Dagger, I am going to say kind of what you said last time. All injection points are kind of valid. You can inject wherever. There can be multiple injection points. The canonical ones thus far have been the ones we've mentioned. Fingers, sternum, the cephaloid sinuses, the tiny ear bones. They are the canonical ones.
And not the femur?
Yeah, and not the femur, because do you know what, the other 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, the other 4 are way more gruesome.
Okay.
You want to compile a list of the most gory places to inject and just have them be canonical.
Okay.
Yeah.
So shriven means to have been forgiven in confession or to have been absolved.
Oh.
Of your sins, I guess.
Okay. Oh, so like before you go to confession, if you're religious and you go to confession, you are unshriven, and then you depart shriven.
I guess, yeah.
Cool. That's cool. We all learned something today, Bill. We all learned something today. Oh, Jesus, Bill! Something just popped in my head. I need to talk to you about. This isn't on the show notes.
Okay, go for
But
it.
I'm gonna chuck it in.
Well, I don't know, Edgar. I don't know if we can vary from the show notes once we've started. I mean, this was your bailiwick, and you didn't include it.
Just
I don't know.
sneakily edit the Google Doc. I have quit smoking recently.
Oh, so you have, yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats, dude.
Thank you. Well, let's not call it as fully quit, because you never know. It's been, as of yesterday, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm done for life, but I'm hoping to get there. As a result, whenever I became anxious or grumpy or felt like I wanted to kill everything and everyone around me, I decided...
You did.
I did.
You let your dark side take over, and you became anxious and grumpy and killed everyone around you.
That's essentially what I'm doing. Is I am offering up my story so that you will have me leave this podcast recording completely shriven. So yeah, when I was all anxious and grumpy and stuff, I just left the house.
Yeah.
And went for walks. And that was my thing. Just walk until I felt better. And some of these walks got really lengthy, like in the order of like 10, 11, 12 kilometers. Just like,
wow.
Just walk down the road, just keep going. And then whenever I felt better, just make my way back. To make the time pass, I started reading, in quotes, listening to the audiobook of the first novel of the Wheel of Time series.
Oh, cool.
I need to ask you something here, Bill.
Yeah.
About it. You've read them all, haven't you?
Nope.
You've read majority of them? You have?
I haven't read the last one.
Okay, so you know about this, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That first book, do you think it's a good book?
Yes.
Yes. Can you qualify why?
Sets up strong characters, sets up an interesting world. The way that the characters have their plan and the way in which it goes wrong, I think is interesting, and it's got a good ending, and it's got good villains, and in the context of the greater series, it sets up a lot of things that happen very well.
Okay. I haven't finished it yet. I'm about 3/4 of the way through.
Okay.
And I don't really know much about Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
And from a completely outsider perspective, it seems really derivative and kind of a carbon copy in many regards of Lord of the Rings. I was shocked at how similar it is to Lord of the Rings. And I know that Robert Jordan has said that he wanted the first bit of it to be reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, but like there's reminiscent and then there's like doing a Force Awakens job on it. And I feel like he's kind of done that. And it's really weird, and I don't know if I like it. I don't know, it's strange. I don't know, I wanted to just air it, like, because it starts off in like the rural country village. There is a party happening. A magical stranger arrives. There is fireworks. They must all leave an inn in a strange sort of villagey sort of thing. There's a river crossing. And it's like, it's almost like event for event, the first book of Lord of the Rings. Now, granted, it does, when the stuff does go wrong, it breaks and becomes its own thing. But a huge chunk of it, like 20, 30 chapters, is effectively Lord of the Rings.
And to what extent is that Lord of the Rings, and to what extent is it just following, the hero's journey stuff?
So it's got nothing to do with that, to my mind.
Okay.
Like the idea of going through the hero's journey is fine. It's the fact that the setup and the locales and the chronology is so similar. Like you can run the hero's journey and say at the very start have the whole, like, the rural, the sort of the well-known location that our hero comes from. That could be, there could be a twist on that sets it apart from Lord of the Rings, but it wasn't. It was literally just like a sort of Shire-esque town. It's too close aesthetically to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Now, I realize that there's like, how many books? There are like 13, is it 13 books?
14, I think.
14. I mean, like, he's got to, like, there's no way, even if you were setting out to copy Lord of the Rings, there's no way you could copy it for 14 books. I realize that at some stage it's going to diverge.
Well, they made The Hobbit into 4 films, so.
Well, we don't speak about that. That was a disaster. Oh
I
god.
haven't watched them.
Oh, don't. They're just so. Oh no, no. So yeah, they must diverge at some stage and become their own unique thing. But again, to just re-summarize, from an outsider coming in, understanding that this book has, or these series of books have a huge sort of place in nerd culture and genre fiction, I really can't understand why. And there is great things. There's great things like Moraine, and the whole Aes Sedai thing is really cool, and the culture he sets up is really cool.
You don't even have a clue how brilliant Lan is yet.
Yeah, I hear that there's loads of things that are going to happen, but again, from where I am now, it's like, I don't see this as being decent at all. It's well written, but it's completely derivative to my mind. Not saying I don't like it, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try and plow through more of the books as well, you know?
The last few books are better written.
When Brandon takes over, yeah?
Yeah.
Is there a distinct change in style when he takes over? Can you notice it's two different writers, or is Brandon trying to be Jordan?
I think he imitates the style reasonably well. Now, it's been a few years since I've read them, but he's just better at prose, I think.
Okay. I like Jordan's prose, though.
It as it goes on, it can get fierce and bogged down.
Can it?
Yeah.
I think every so often when I'm listening, I'll catch a turn of phrase that he has for something, and it'll just make me go, oh, that's a really nice way of describing that.
Yeah, some of it is lovely, but I just think overall Brandon Sanderson is more kind of more readable. But now I've never listened to the audiobooks of The Wheel of Time. I've never listened to an audiobook, so I don't know. I can't really compare there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I still think good prose comes across regardless of the medium.
Right.
One thing that's really weird about the audiobook, and this will be the last point we say in this, because this wasn't actually part of the show, is that they have a female and male narrator.
For the various chapters, for the female and male point of view chapters.
Yeah, when it goes to the point of view of what's her Nynaeve.
Yeah.
They bring in a female narrator, and I really don't like that.
Really?
Yeah, because up until that point, we've had it from the point of view of the main guy, Rand.
Yeah.
So I've come to know that voice, and I've come to know that voice doing all the characters. And then suddenly there's a new voice, and it's almost like you're starting anew, because it's like, oh, new story. So there's nothing wrong with the idea of a female voice. It's the idea of changing voices. I either want it to be all female or all male from the get-go.
Or maybe if they changed it earlier before you'd gotten so used to just a single voice. If there had been a Nynaeve chapter, say around chapter 8.
Yeah, could well be. But again, I think it's common knowledge in the audiobook realm that ensemble casts, if you're going to really do it like girls play girls and boys play boys, is they just turn into a bit of a disaster. They don't sound good at all. The whole charm in audiobooks is this idea of being, you are read to by a single person. For me anyways. So I found that really weird, and I still find it really hard to listen to Nynaeve stories because of the strange voice that shouldn't be in this land. She doesn't belong there. There you go. I just want to ask you a little bit about Wheel of Time. Do you want to get the show back on track?
I think we should. You rebel. You're a loose cannon, Edgar Gringold.
You have to reel me in, man.
You're a loose cannon. So the next thing on our show notes is the music corner.
Cool. We had to listen to, I believe it was the Yoshida brothers.
Yep.
From last time. So did you have a listen?
I did have a listen to it.
What did you think? Out of 10, out of 12.
I'm not doing that. It gets a sum out of 12. SOME rather than SUM. I enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
The link we had on the show notes was to YouTube, and it was like short versions. I think they were just like cut off at 90 seconds. So I couldn't really get my teeth into any of the tracks. What I heard, I enjoyed. I enjoyed it for some of the same reasons that I like kind of shreddy guitar stuff. I don't know what those instruments are called, but they're playing them, and it's kind of fast, and they're bending notes, and there's quite a lot of energy to it. But I felt like I don't really have the context to understand it the way it's intended, and I couldn't really distinguish a lot of the tracks from each other. I'd like to hear the longer versions of the tracks, and maybe know more about the kind of the context in which it's made, because as I said, it was kind of a little bit lost on me.
Yeah, I had similar a similar experience. The short thing, with the short version, that was the only free place I could find that wasn't like illegal.
Yeah.
That had that entire album. I can only assume that that's the entire album. So I had to link to that. But there exists some more long versions if the internet wants to go out and buy it. I would be interested in hearing the long versions. Again, like you, without context, it's really hard to know what's going on. I get the impression just from this and without understanding broader context that they're kind of like Rodrigo and Gabriela for traditional Japanese music.
Okay.
That's the impression I get. Like, I know nothing of traditional Japanese music. That's just the impression I was hit with. So they take the traditional music and do it in a sort of more popular style. That's what I really liked it. I really liked it. And unlike you, Bill, I had no problem distinguishing the tracks. In fact, my favorite track is Ringo Bushi. It's really good. I've identified with every track, and I really, really enjoy it.
I only listened to it a handful of times. I didn't like sit down and study it because I've been listening to a lot of music in the last while. But Edgar, on the topic of traditional Japanese music, did you know that a person that we were in college with is one of the foremost performers on a traditional Japanese instrument?
No? Who is this?
Yeah. Charlie. We can put a link to the video in the show notes, but he was in the academy with us for a while, and he is a performer on the Satsuma Biwa, which is I guess it's kind of a lute. Sort of a 3-string lute with massive frets, and you play it with a huge plectrum, and then you compress really far into the frets to get kind of intonation differences. I think it's got 3 strings.
Bill, I think that these are the instrument they're playing.
No, they're different.
Sure? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, because your description just sounds very much like the instruments they're playing.
No, I'll open the YouTube videos again, but they looked very different to me because like they had huge deep frets. The Satsuma Biwas.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, they're not. I don't think they're the same at all.
Wait, like Charles.
Yeah.
He was the bald chap. Oh yeah. Oh, he was great. Oh, I remember him. There you go, nostalgia trip. That's crazy.
Maybe they're the same. I don't know.
I had no idea. I knew he lived in Japan for ages, and I knew he had an interest in the culture. I had no idea he was like a foremost performer of.
Apparently so.
Wow. Are we able to find links to throw in the show notes?
Yeah, I'll find a video and put it in.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah, the Yoshida brothers play the shamisen.
Okay, and so this is distinctly different, but they do also play it with that giant plectrum as well. Like I seen that thing, and it's really cool because they use it as a percussive device as well, which is really interesting. So they use it to pick and to strike the body of the instrument with, which I really like.
Cool.
Yeah. So a lot of the drum-like effects, I assume, from the Yoshida brothers were not drums; they were the instrument body. So yeah, I very much, I forget the Redditor who or the person, should I say, who left that suggestion, but I very much enjoyed it. 2 thumbs up from me for the Yoshida brothers. That's awesome. Or 12 thumbs up, should I say.
12 thumbs up. Playing around with the Chemical X again, have we, Edgar?
Have I been playing around with the Chemical X? What?
Just like a generic name for something that would cause mutations. It's not a specific thing.
Wait, what's this got to do with music, man? I'm really confused.
Because you've got 12 thumbs.
Okay.
Come on.
Actually, do you know what? A odd number of digits will creep up later in the show. That's going to be a topic later on the show.
Good to know.
Yeah,
a little sneak preview of what we're getting in 40 minutes time.
I know, right? 40 minutes. He says ambitiously.
What was I going to say there? Yeah, okay, so yeah, so I'll send you a video of Charles playing the Satsuma Biwa.
Brilliant.
You mentioned Rodrigo Gabriela.
I did, yes.
I saw them a little over, no, not quite 2 weeks ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. What did you think?
I quite liked them. I mean, I haven't listened to them in a while. Man, this is probably going to sound super hipster. I haven't really listened to their studio stuff. since they started doing like proper studio albums is kind of when I just kind of didn't listen to them anymore, not for any particular reason. So I hadn't seen them I hadn't ever seen them before, and I hadn't listened to them in a while. But I enjoyed them a lot. They had a lot of energy. They did a mix of their own stuff, a lot of their own stuff, but the middle of their set was all thrash metal covers. So they did... Oh, what's the first track off that Megadeth? Is it Hangar 18? No, Holy War's Punishment Due.
Okay.
They did the cover of Holy War's Punishment Due, which was entertaining, and they did a cover of Orion and Damage Incorporated by Metallica.
Okay.
Which are like the last two tracks on Master of Puppets. Like, they're in order. And they had a lot of energy for their own, for the covers, but they kind of weren't as interesting somehow.
Right.
And it was just like, oh yeah, I liked them because they were novel, that they were playing a Megadeth song and two Metallica songs that I really love. But it wasn't as interesting as them like doing their own stuff. And then when they went back to their own stuff, I actually much preferred it.
I don't know much about what they've done since I dropped out of listening to them, but I think they should move away from being the like flamenco metal cover band in a way and just do their own stuff. Like, I'm totally with you on that. I think from what I heard of the little bit I heard about their original stuff back in the day, it was much better. I much preferred it.
Mm-hmm. See, I bought this album of theirs about 10 years ago, live Manchester and Dublin, in which they do a cover. Actually, there's two versions of a cover of one, and I think they put in the Hetfield solo from the Master Puppets as well, and that's brilliant. They're really, really good, but I didn't enjoy it as much live.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a stunning album. That's a really, really good album.
My thoughts, if you want to talk about being super hipster here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go super hipster here. My thoughts is that they are very good. They're clearly very skilled. I have problems with Gabriella as a player and a player who purportedly is influenced by flamenco.
We've had this discussion before.
On the podcast?
No, in real life.
Okay, well, let's just put it on the podcast.
Okay.
So people can disagree with me in the comments on Reddit. So what they're doing is not close to flamenco at all, and I think it's a bit of a disservice to flamenco for them to purportedly say that it is derived from flamenco. Like, it to the untrained ear or anyone who isn't from that culture, it's all like, oh, it's Spanishy sounding, therefore it is flamenco. But it's really far off. Like, I took flamenco lessons off an Argentinian chap for about a year in college, and he really made me understand what flamenco is. It's way more virtuosic and rhythmic and technically challenging than what Rodrigo Gabriela do. Nothing wrong with what they do. It's just making that connection that bothers me.
See, we've talked about this before, and I have something written by them somewhere. It's in one of their album's liner notes or in an interview or something that they did, where they said, no, we're not flamenco, and I wish people would stop calling us that.
Oh, was that an act of retcon?
The way it was presented wasn't that. The way it was presented was, we're not flamenco, I don't know why people think we're flamenco, we never said we're flamenco, stop calling us flamenco.
If I'm assuming what the populace thinks about them is what they think about themselves, then that's my fault. And I'm perfectly open to me being wrong there.
I could be misremembering that was how they put it, but as I recall, it was like, no, we never claimed to be flamenco, because people just call us that, but it's not what we are.
But the sort of the broader point that I want to kind of bring up about my taste, my feelings towards music, is that when someone purports to be something that is not the norm, i.e. you draw like classical influence, or you draw flamenco influence, or you draw Japanese music influence, and particularly, this is going to sound hipster, but particularly when it reaches kind of like general knowledge, like everyone knows about this, you can nearly always assume that it's a watered down version of what the original is, and you can nearly always assume that it's worth your time going and checking out the source, because it's going to be more technical, more virtuosic, more brilliant, more everything, and more culturally rich. I think that's important, just as a general statement away from Rodrigo Gabriela.
Okay.
Agree, disagree?
I think culturally rich is a bit too subjective. And I think that by whatever has gone into making it more mainstream has made it more accessible in general. So it's not necessarily going to be to your tastes. Like, oh, well, I really like this noisecore band. It's like, oh, well, no, they're not really noisecore. You should go listen to real noisecore. And you go and listen to real noisecore and you don't like it because it's like too aggressive or it's too insular and you don't have the context to understand it. So it's not necessarily going to be a successful enterprise. And I think culturally rich is a little subjective because I don't think you can apply a consistent thing of richness to someone or to an art form. Apart from Ludwiko Einaudi, that's utterly vapid.
What is this? I have no idea what you're talking about. Vico?
Oh, you know this composer Ludwiko Einaudi?
No, who's this?
Oh, he's this like Italian composer who's awful. It's all just like arpeggios, and like piano arpeggios and nice strings in the background for 12 minutes. And he says that he's contemporary classical music, and it's classical is a word that's used a lot around him, but it's just like 4 chords. And I didn't like him in the first place, particularly. And then I was doing it was when I started my job, I was shadowing some piano teachers, and I had one student that played Nuova Bianche by Ludwiko Einaudi, and I was like, okay, that is a piece of music, that is fine. And then I had another student come in and play All of You by John Legend, and it's the exact same harmony. They're at the same tempo, and it's in the same key, and it's like that's fine. There's nothing wrong with John Legend. Nothing wrong with All of You. That's a perfectly fine song. They're nice chords, but you can't take that exact chord pattern, 4 chords, 1 per bar, play it for 10 minutes and say that it's classical music. Because it isn't.
I have heard of that guy before because students of mine have also wanted to learn that Nouvelle Bianche tune or whatever. I just didn't realize that was him. When I heard that tune, I was kind of... I had similar things. I was kind of like, this is just a load of like really inoffensive consonant harmony arpeggios everywhere sort of thing. There's nothing interesting going on.
The pinnacle of bland vapidity.
Yeah, exactly. One last point in the music, sorry, just to go back to the cultural thing. I think I need to tighten my definition here. I need to tighten it to if it's purportedly derived from a folk art form. Okay? It's worth going back and checking out the original folk art form because there is cultural value to be had there. Because almost by definition, if it goes mainstream, it means it has to be changed and altered such that the general masses can find interest in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think if you go, oh, I know flamenco because of Rodrigo Gabriela, you've missed an awful lot there. So.
Yeah, totally.
Just my thoughts. So there you go. Oh, now Bill, we have to generate a new tune to listen to.
We do have to generate a new tune. Do you have your list ready?
I have my list ready. Is this the update? Yeah, this is the updated list. Yes, I have the list. Do you want to get out your dice there?
Okay, how many are on the list? How many entries do we have?
We have 36.
36. Okay, I'm rolling 1d36. 19.
So this is Savant by, I'm assuming, someone called Oracle.
Oracle.
Or Orakel. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do a quick Google there because you're in charge of Google. Do a quick Google and find out, is that a song or is that an album?
That is a full album.
That is a full album.
No, don't play. Oracle is the 10th album by electronic dance music producer Alexander Winter, and his 8th using the alias Savant.
Okay, so the artist is Savant and the album is Oracle.
Yes.
Grand. Okay, so just to say that again, Savant, artist Savant,
album Oracle, and there's a full album on YouTube.
Yeah, so there you go, Savant, Oracle. It will be in the show notes. Have a listen, people, if you're interested. Myself and Bill will listen to it, and we will report back on our findings.
Sure thing.
That was my best attempt at the sort of staccato that radio presenters have in their voice when they rattle off stuff. I just can't do it. Like, I listen to myself back in edits and I'm like, Jesus, Edgar, if there's one thing you weren't born with, it's a radio accent.
Don't worry, Edgar. You got a face for radio.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. You have the voice for radio and I have the face for radio. Great. Okay. Shall we horse on to something else?
Let's move on.
Let us rampant horse on to something else.
You were in South Korea recently.
I was in South Korea recently. I was.
I think you should tell me all about South Korea.
Like literally everything. Well, so there was this war. No, I won't do that. Okay, so I'll give you like a newspaper headline sort of summation of my trip, and then if you want, you can like question me for more details. Yeah.
No. Can you make it a BuzzFeed clickbait headline instead?
Okay, yeah. 10.
You won't believe what Edgar thought about South Korea.
Oh, BuzzFeed. Okay, so the headline is, I had a really good time. Really nice to be there for 10 days, but I really dislike South Korea.
Okay.
It's a really strange place, and I'm sure it's for some people, but I think I've come to the conclusion it's really not for me. To constrain that a little bit more, actually, I should say urban Korea is not for me.
Okay.
I had no experience of rural, less densely populated Korea. Perhaps that is absolutely beautiful and lovely, and I would love it. But urban Korea, there are many, many, many systematic problems with urban South Korea. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to be here. So okay. do you want to pry me apart from my opinions, or do you want to leave it at that?
I think it would be funny to leave it at that. We probably shouldn't.
Oh, well, actually, I'll tell you what. Actually, I will add something. That's a slightly like heavy note, right? So can I add something about Korea that's more lighthearted and related to world building?
Yes.
Okay, there are two things I have learned from Korea that I'm going to take and try and implement in my world building.
Okay.
Thing number one, when you are born, the day you are born, you are aged 1.
Oh, weird.
Which is really interesting to think about, because it seems to, I don't know about this, I've just spent 10 days in the country, so don't internet hate me if I get this wrong. But the impression I get is that they see the 9 months, the 9 months of you living inside your mother's womb as being an actual part of your life. So they count it as a full year.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think is a really cool little culture thing. Also, there's this weird thing, I can't speak with any sort of authority on this, but there's this weird thing where everyone changes birthday at the same time.
What?
Yeah, I gotta ask my girlfriend about this. There's a thing where... I spoke to my girlfriend about this. The impression I got was there's 1 month of the year where everyone in Korea just becomes a year older. And then you still have your regular birthday to celebrate, but functionally it all happens at one time. I could be totally wrong. Maybe I misunderstood her, but that's the impression.
Everyone changes age at the same time.
Yeah. Like February 20th.
Not changes their birthday at the same time.
No, sorry. Yeah. So like, let's say February.
What?
No, like February 20th, everyone moves up in age. Okay? But you'd still have your birthday on whatever, the 1st of June if you were born, you'd celebrate that or whatever. Something to that effect, which is so bizarre to us. Like if I'm remembering it correctly, it's so bizarre and something that I want to steal.
I always wondered about stuff like that in films or in books or whatever, where it's like, a barbarian or a rural tribe, and they count their age in summers.
Yeah.
So you could be like 6 months apart, but you age at the same time, because if you were born like in winter, at the start of winter or at the end of spring, functionally you're 6 months apart, but it's still your first summer or your 10th summer happens at the same time.
Yeah, exactly like that. But that's something I always just assume occurred in fantasy literature. Like, where it's kind of like, oh, I'm a man of 23 summers or whatever. I did not realize that there was this type of counting system goes on in the real world, which was fascinating to me. And again, something to steal. The other thing I want to steal is their public transport system. Okay. If I ever write the write Dagger, where it's going to be like a super modern city sort of thing. Their public transport, particularly trains, is the most wonderful thing I have ever seen in my life. And I despise trains with an absolute passion. Like the Irish train system. Yes, the Irish train system here causes me no end of hardship. I hate, like there's few things in life that I actually genuinely just hate, and one of them is Irish rail. I hate Irish trains with an unending passion. It's just, they're the most heinous of companies. Anyhow, sorry.
I had a very unpleasant Irish rail experience about 2 weeks ago, but I'll tell you about that later on.
I have an unpleasant Irish rail experience every single time I'm with them. I swear to God, it's just the most inept service ever. But anyhow, Korean rail is glorious, right? Absolutely glorious. In that you land on your platform, right? You're at your platform, like in the metro or whatever. And they have like glass walls up where the train is going to stop, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, or plastic walls. And this stops a very important thing. London has a problem with this. Suicides, right?
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, that is a really interesting solution. Why doesn't London employ that, you know? So that was point number one.
One of the tube lines in London does.
Oh, okay, but it's definitely not.
At least one of the tube lines does, but it's not all of them.
It's not rolled out as standard, definitely not. But and then the next thing is that there's like a doorway that will open to allow you on the train, and outside the doorway on the path is there's indicated where you should stand. So there's like a boarding queue and an exiting queue. So there's no fighting for getting in. It's all very, very orderly. It's also color coded to let people know where the nearest, say, like senior citizen seat is. So you can go straight to your like correct like entry port, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And it's the most beautifully elegant and logistical and just clean system I have ever seen. So that is something I'm going to steal. If I ever need to describe a train system in a story I want to write that I'll never write, I'm going to steal South Korea's train system. It is just, I couldn't get over it. Like, so there's two really good points about Korea, and mildly related to world building.
What things did you not like? Did you like the food?
I enjoyed the food to a certain extent. The only reason I didn't enjoy some parts is because I was super adventurous.
Right. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so I went out to try and eat the weirdest food possible, and there's a high failure rate when you eat the really weird stuff. Kimchi.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kimchi is good.
What's kimchi?
Kimchi is like fermented cabbage.
Sauerkraut.
Exactly. It is like sauerkraut. It's slightly different. It's red.
Well, of course you're going to like sauerkraut, or you're going to like the kimchi. Your name's Grunwald.
Yeah, no, sauerkraut is so much better than kimchi. I can't get down with the kimchi thing. It's fine. Sauerkraut is so much better. It's everywhere kimchi in Korea. You order anything, you get kimchi with it. It's hilarious. And then I had silkworm larvae. That was not good.
Doesn't sound it.
No, that tasted like that, and I'm not being like this is no hyperbole at all. It tasted a little bit like a rotten sofa.
What's a sofa?
Sofa. Sorry, sofa.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, like a settee, a couch, Bill.
That raises more questions than it answers, but okay.
I gotta explain, right? You know, if you were to like put a couch right in a derelict building and leave it sit there for about a year, you know what musty, rotten, dry/wet
taste.
Yeah, no, like that smell in taste form. Imagine that smell in the back of your nose, and now imagine being able to taste that in the form of insects.
Yeah, that sounds revolting.
It is genuinely revolting. I had live octopus, which was good.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah, I was about to ask you.
There's this thing where they get an octopus, they kill it in front of you, and they put the tentacles on your plate, and all the nerves are still firing, so it's moving. And all the suckers are still going, so it sticks onto you, and it's really weird. And it tastes fine. Once you get over the concept, the idea that there is a thing moving in your mouth trying to latch onto your tongue, it tastes like normal fish. I really liked it.
Did you know beforehand about the choking risk with that?
No, it doesn't bother me.
If you died doing what you loved, eating octopus.
Exactly. Why is there a lot of deaths surrounding this in quotes live octopus?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I mean, I think it's like a slightly higher choking risk than food that isn't trying to hold onto your tongue. Somehow, surprisingly.
Who would have thunk it, eh? No, that didn't even occur to me. I would just kind of like put it in the mouth and just get it done with. But yeah, no, the food was great. The food was really good. Their internet is censored.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, which goes against a lot of what I stand for. I also couldn't get my proxies to work there. Very interesting.
Oh.
Because I was like, I can't get through to this site because I was like, it's not really censored though, is it? And I tried a site that was potentially something that the Korean government might censor. So I couldn't get through to it. I tried proxying it, still couldn't get through to it. Really strange. And I think the official statement is that they block things because they don't want it corrupting the minds of the young generation, which is just, I'm so utterly against blocking the internet. That really annoyed me. I had a little kind of like rant at my girlfriend about this.
That's very strange.
Yeah. They also have, now I realize I'm speaking about a culture I know nothing about and about a people I know nothing about. So can we all take this with a pinch of salt and all take it with these are just Edgar's initials impressions? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of important for what I'm going to say next. The views on gender in South Korea. They're kind of they're interesting and not what we have over here. So I just want to bring it up. For one thing, platonic touching is totally cool over there.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the idea of like two women or two men holding hands walking down the street is not frowned upon at all. That's seen as being totally normal behavior.
Oh, that's nice.
That is really cool. That is very, very cool. Counter to that, or from what I could tell, they still have a very conservative view on the traditional male and female role in society.
Right.
Which I found very jarring, because I get that there's equality everywhere, but the inequality there seemed to be very pervasive and very obvious, and you couldn't help but notice it as someone from the outside. Like there's this thing, it seems to be a younger person thing more than anything else, where female beauty is seen to be coming from being submissive, right? If you are submissive and dainty, you are being the ideal female, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
And very often, myself and the captain, when we walk down the street, we would see young couples doing this, and you would see like the girl very, very obviously and over the top and theatrically acting up this element, like this sort of submissive, sort of I am yours sort of thing. And the man as well playing a very kind of stoic, I don't care, I'm a man role. And it was like, it's not open for interpretation really. That's exactly what they're doing, and it was so obvious. And that sort of thing I found really hard to deal with to see, because it goes against my beliefs on, gender equality and things like that, and especially coming from young people, it's like that I found very, very hard to deal with. And that's one of the reasons why when I say Korea was really nice to visit, I had a really good time with the captain, but there's a couple of systemic things that would lead me to say that Korea is maybe not a place that I'd be ever interested in living in, or perhaps visiting for an extended period of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that sort of thing. I find it hard to engage with a culture that allows that. Now, I need to preface all this by saying I was only over there for 10 days. I'm not an expert on Korean culture. I've seen two cities, Ilsan and Seoul. I didn't see all of Korea. I wasn't able to talk to locals that much because I can't speak Korean. So my opinion needs to be taken with an awful pinch of salt. Just take it as this is what Edgar thought of his trip. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, Bill, you were places as well.
Edgar. I was places.
You were places. Tell us where you were, Bill.
I went to Nottingham.
No! You never told me that. You went to Nottingham?
Yeah?
You said you were in London again. I didn't know you were in Nottingham.
I was in London again.
And you were also in Nottingham.
Yep.
Home of, dear Artifexian viewer, home of Nottingham University, or the University of Nottingham, which is home of number file, periodic videos, all of that is shot there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's
I didn't know that.
It's the YouTube University.
I was only there for 2 nights.
Okay.
I flew in on a Thursday, and I saw a bit of the town, and went around a few places. I went to what is one of a number of establishments that claim to be the oldest pub in England. It's called The Old Trip to Jerusalem, and it's thought it's right below, like it's right kind of at the walls of Nottingham Castle, and it's called that because it's meant to be a place that crusaders gathered before heading off in the Crusades.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
That's
which
cool.
it was quite a nice wee pub, so that was pretty good. And then the next day, I went to Download Festival.
Oh, you didn't tell me this either. God, we really haven't talked in a long time. How was Download?
Well, I did a very silly thing, Edgar.
Oh, God. Oh, no. What did you do to Bill?
Can you guess what I did? What would be like a real un-Bill kind of stupid thing to do when going on a trip?
Forget to bring something that's necessary?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What did you forget? Like, what's necessary for Download? Did you forget like wellies or a proper attire?
More fundamental.
More fundamental. You forgot tickets. You forgot your tickets.
Yep. I left my tickets in the hostel.
Oh no! What did you do?
I was only going for the 1 day, and like I had packed everything, and I had all of my stuff, and it was all my boarding passes and my passport and train timetables.
Oh no!
And then I was like, we got a bus from Nottingham city centre out towards Download, and I was halfway there, and the people sitting opposite us were talking about their tickets, and I was like, oh god, I've forgotten the tickets. So my friend who I was travelling with was very understanding and only a little bit annoyed, and the people opposite of us were really sweet, and they gave us this like return ticket they had, and that they could use, like you can use unlimited times. So we borrowed it to get back to Nottingham, get the tickets, and get back to the festival.
Oh, so you still made it into the festival?
Still made it into the festival, and we gave the ticket back to the people that had given it to us, the bus ticket, and had a rather good time. It poured down, like we were on the bus and we could not see the road in front of us. On the way back, like our second trip towards the festival site, and then it cleared up by the time we got off. And then I was like, as we're heading in towards the gates, I was like, I'll just get a poncho off this guy from the side of the street, and bought a poncho. And 3 minutes later, it opened up, and 3 minutes after that, I was wet to my hips because of the rain had soaked up through my trousers. It poured down. It absolutely poured down. I saw videos like when I was coming back into the city that night of people's tents getting washed away in the campsite.
Was it enjoyable?
Oh, I had a really good time. I saw 3 bands.
You saw 3 bands.
I saw 3 whole bands.
What bands did you see?
Well, I saw like bits of other bands that I were kind of fine bands I wasn't really into, and I saw them from the corner. I was like, that doesn't sound like my kind of thing, so I didn't stick around. Well, we were worried that we would get back in time for 3:00 to catch Baby Metal.
Okay, I don't know who these are, but there you go.
Baby Metal are a metal band fronted by 3 teenage Japanese girls.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so they're doing like
Cool.
that kind of J-pop sort of, the way they have like a mythos built around them and like a whole performance thing, but backed up by an actually really good metal band. And I mean, I think the gimmick is a bit tired, that it's like, oh, metal, and it's got cute girls in the front, cute little teenagers. So I was kind of like, it'll be grand, I'll go see it might be kind of entertaining. And that sort of thing they're playing on, the 2 contrasting aesthetics, didn't interest me at all, but the band are actually really good, and they do a really good show, and they're good frontwomen.
Okay, cool.
But like the bassist is serious, like seriously talented bassist, and they've songs in like at least 3 or 4 different genres as well, which I was impressed with, and they were competent in all of them. So I enjoyed them a lot more than I expected to.
Cool. That sounds very cool.
And not for gimmicky reasons. The gimmick wasn't what made them interesting to me.
Yeah, they were musically interesting. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Then we kind of wandered around for a while. I drank some beers. There were some tasty beers that were made especially for the festival.
Oh, cool.
As a lot of festivals are doing nowadays. And we went down to watch. Motorhead had been scheduled to play, but obviously that didn't happen.
Whoa. Yeah. He's dead, no?
Yeah, Lemmy died back about 6 months ago. I think Motorhead are defunct now. I don't think Motorhead are.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they stopped when Lemmy passed away.
So who else did you see? That's band number 1.
So there was like this sort of documentary thing about Motorhead that they played, which was all right. It was like played up on the big screens. I couldn't really hear it very clearly. But then I saw Korn.
Ah, yes! Love Korn.
Who were terrific fun. I've mixed feelings about Korn. Like, I like some of their stuff. I don't like some of their other stuff, but they're just really entertaining live. And
Korn are great. I love my new metal, man. My new metal is just the way forward. Like, it's so good. But go on.
I'm pretty sure it's the way backwards at this stage.
No, Bill. You see, it's like
it was 15 years ago.
No, Bill. It's timeless. You see, timeless. So that's band. So Korn, it's band number 2.
And band number 3 were Rammstein.
No way, Rammstein.
Yeah.
Oh man, epic! That's amazing. I thought Download was like every other sort of purportedly heavy metal festival, just gone to pot, where they don't actually play real metal. It's kind of like everything's gone soft rock. But that's amazing. These are like proper metal bands, like.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How was Rammstein?
Rammstein were amazing. They were, like, it's the 3rd time I've seen them, and it was by far the best. Like,
cool.
They was just so good. Because the other 2 times I saw them, it was a really good performance, and it was really entertaining, and they've got such great stage presence and such elaborate stage shows. But Till wasn't singing very well. Till being the main singer, his voice was a bit rough the last 2 times, and he wasn't like quite hitting some of the pitches. But this time he was just completely on the pitch, singing real powerfully. They did a new song, which I think suggested there's a new album on the way.
Ooh.
Which there hasn't been. It's been a long time since their last album. It's about 6 years now.
Huh. Okay.
And the stage show was phenomenal, and I was just super into it. I enjoyed them so much.
Did they headline?
They were the headliners of the first night. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Very cool. Oh, that's amazing. I did not know any of this, Bill.
I only went for a day.
Yeah.
I went to see Rammstein, to be honest.
Oh, okay. How expensive is it to get to Download, ticket wise?
I can't remember because I bought the tickets back in like November.
Oh, gee, did that far back? Wow.
Yeah, because I really like Rammstein.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad. I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself. I had no idea. Absolutely no idea. So this is why you were in Nottingham.
That's why I was in Nottingham. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the following day, I went down to London for about a week.
Okay. Oh, very good. And how was London?
I didn't see that much of it. I kind of mostly stayed around one small part of East London. I went to the Museum of Childhood, which was pretty great.
Oh, there's a Museum of Childhood. Huh.
Yeah. It's mostly toys.
Okay. It's a toy museum then.
Well, it's got other stuff as well. It's got like children's clothes and things like documents about childhood and stuff from a large period of time. But it had some fun world building in it.
Oh, we should probably try and fit some world building in this episode, seeing as there's hardly anything.
Yeah, we probably should. In one part of it, they have these monkeys that were made, I think it's from the 1960s, by this family's, I think it said governess, but that sounds a lot more Jane Austen than I intend. But yeah, so from the 1960s, this like family, these little boys, and their governess knitted them these monkey toys. And the boys gave them all names, and they came up with a society for the monkeys.
Ooh.
And like the monkey government and the monkey criminals and where the monkey criminals go when they break the law. And they wrote it all down in copybooks.
Okay.
And they are there, like the monkeys are there on display in the museum. and they all have all the little tags with their names. And the copybooks are there in the display cabinet as well, but they're all digitized online. So you can go onto the Museum of Childhood's website and read all about this monkey society that these little boys created.
That is excellent. That is
It's
amazing.
brilliant. It's so good.
Is it any good? What they came up with, given their relative ages, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Like, given that they were like 10 or whatever, and they come up with, the laws that the monkeys have to follow and the punishments. Because when the art historian brought me there, they were saying, oh, you've got to come see the monkey criminals. And there's actually a lot more to it than just them being criminals. But that was the page that it was open on. That was the page that the book was open on. Yeah, it's terrific.
I will, if we have links to that, we gotta put them in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll pass you on some links for it. I haven't followed it up fully myself, but I intend to.
That is amazing. Wait, I have a question.
So that was pretty cool.
Hang on. Bill, stop. Hold on. I have a question here, right?
Yeah.
What was your first world building?
The first one I ever made?
Yeah, what's your equivalent of the monkey criminals?
I probably still have it around somewhere. I have a copy somewhere where I drew a map and I described like 4 or 5 different countries that were on the map. And I remember it being heavily influenced by the maps in, I guess, White Dwarf magazine, which my older brother was collecting at the time, which is the Games Workshop magazine. And some of the specific models. I really liked the look of some of the specific models in it. There was a sort of a cavalier kind of adventurer in like a ruff and doublet. Yeah, I think that's probably it. And we had this book about how to draw fantasy characters as well, which I is probably also still around somewhere.
Huh.
I would have been about 8 maybe.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there you go. My world building started in Pizza Hut in London. Did I tell you this story before?
No,
I can't remember if I did. We're in London on like a family trip, and we went to Pizza Hut, right? And as part of getting like the family meal, you got like this cardboard cutout, sort of you fold it together pirate ship.
Class.
And there was a little booklet to go along with it, where it showed like pictures of what the pirate ship would look like in universe had it not been made out of crap cardboard. And I came up with, I didn't write any of it down, but I came up with a huge like backstory for all the various different characters depicted in that book. And the pirate ship was a flying pirate ship, and they were part of the crew, and they went on adventures around the world, like fighting criminals and gold and all that. And to this day, I have a really soft spot for anything that involves pirate ships. And in particular, anything that involves magical pirate ships, like flying pirate ships. So that was and I think I must have been a similar age to you. Yeah. And I drew like countless pictures of this pirate ship. I learned how to draw pirate ships like there's no tomorrow. I have nothing, none of it remains. It's all gone. I don't know where it is, but that was my first bit of world building. So there you go.
That's pretty great.
Hopefully someday someone will find all this and digitize it and put it on the internet for people on podcasts to go see. That would be good.
I really like pirates. I think pirates are great.
Pirates are great. They are great. There's like, I've got no bad words to say about pirates. It's awesome. The whole aesthetic is amazing. Love it.
There's a case to be made. Bill gets political here. There's a case to be made that piracy was was part of a sort of globally distributed resistance movement against the elite of the time. Like it was a kind of what would now be like a kind of a, I don't know, working class mightn't be the right word, but a popular resistance movement against the ruling classes, because they were disrupting trade, and they were a lot of rhetoric is to do with like liberty and things, and the articles that a lot of pirate crews followed were quite egalitarian and democratic. There's evidence that some pirates had what we now see as a form of gay marriage.
No way.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Interesting.
And I have a PDF somewhere. I'll send it to you, and you can put it in the show notes if you can find the link, about race among pirates at the time. That I think the gist of it was that they weren't totally racially egalitarian because it was the 1600s and people didn't have those concepts exactly. But I mean, if you were an African or a person of African descent in the Caribbean in the 1600s, you were like way better off to join an outlaw pirate crew than to, stay a slave, obviously. And there's parallels drawn between pirate crews and pirate communities, and there's groups in the interior of North America where runaway slaves and I think white outlaws and natives had communities that were like just beyond the fringes of sort of European or American control that were like just obliterated over time. So there's not a lot of historical record of them. But yeah, like they're super lefty is what I'm getting at, and they're class.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I will send you some links about this stuff if I can. But yeah, pirates are deadly.
Yeah, that's really cool. I knew none of it. I think maybe because I came to it. That was my first exposure to world building via the form of pirates. In my head, I have this romanticized ideal of what the pirate life is. To the extent where throughout my adult life, I had no interest in going around trying to change that. So as much as I like pirates and like watching things with pirates and engaging in like something that has pirates to do with it, I actually don't know that much about the mechanisms that drove that movement. So that's really interesting that you bring that up. It's something I probably should do at some stage.
Like, obviously, I'm referring specifically to Golden Age piracy here. Obviously, there's like pirates and everything, but the classical pirate image, which I guess is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think when you say pirates without specifying, you always mean Golden Age.
You always mean the Spanish Main.
Exactly. Yeah. That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Other London things. I saw. Oh, do you know a kids show from the 60s called The Clangers?
Are these aliens on like the moon?
They're like little pink mice kind of thing.
Yeah, and they all like make strange noises.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched it. I know of it.
I saw The Clangers.
Oh, what's that like?
Like the actual clangers, the actual ones they used to film were there in the Museum of Childhood, along with a load of other stuff and like other cartoons that I didn't recognize as much. Bagpuss as well, which I don't know.
Oh, I've heard that name before. It's a cat.
Yeah, he's a big pink cat.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Basically, there was a little exhibition about the guy who was responsible for all of those shows was there in the Museum of Childhood. And so that was pretty great because I quite like the Clangers. And they had one of the scripts for the first episode of the Clangers there. And for anyone who knows it, or anyone who watches a video, which I'm sure we'll find on YouTube and put in the show notes, the Clangers whistle at each other. There's no like speech.
Yeah.
It's all just whistling. And there's no direct translation, just the narrator will say the Clangers are fighting or whatever. But turns out that they actually wrote full dialogue for it, and they like there's actually you can say exactly what they're saying to each other in the script, and then when they came to record it, they just used like a slide whistle instead, which is so crazy to me. Like they actually bothered sitting down and writing proper dialogue, but didn't use any of it. And it's really funny dialogue as well. Like, there's two of them fighting over a piece of string, and one of them says, "Give it to me, you rotten rodent." It's really charming.
This childhood museum sounds great, crack.
Yeah, it's really well curated as well. Like, it's kind of it's set up according to different ideas. It's not just like here's all the toys from the 1700s and here's all the toys from the 1800s. There's like loads of different stuff, kind of grouped by topic from different eras.
Wow.
I'd definitely recommend it. Some of it's got stuff written by children, like children writing about toys and writing about childhood. And when I was there was an exhibition or like a one display case which had gotten children to come up with imaginary friends and draw them, and then someone made like sculptures of the imaginary friends.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It was really, really good. I'd definitely recommend it.
I know I often say, I'll look into this and do this, and rarely ever do I do that. If I am in London, that's something I think I might check out. That is genuinely really interesting. I like that. There you go. So did you do anything else in London, or should we move on to the next stage of your journeys?
Move on to the next stage, I guess.
So I'm assuming this is the final stage.
Well, there's a couple of things.
Jeez, we really have been all over the place.
Yeah.
So I'm confused now. I don't know what stage we're at. Where were you next?
So, well, I came back after being in London. I came back to Ireland. And then after a few weeks, I went down to Bantry in West Cork.
That's what I was on.
Which, did I talk about this in a podcast about a year ago? Because I feel like I ought to have, and I'd be surprised if I didn't. But I can't remember doing so.
I don't know, Bill.
Before?
I don't know.
So every year I volunteer at a music festival, which is down in West Cork. It's the southwest of the country.
In a place called Bantry.
In a place called Bantry, a town called Bantry.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that again this year, and it's a really great festival. It's a festival of chamber music. So for people who don't know, that's work in the classical tradition involving solo or very small numbers of players. String quartets, duets, trios, that kind of thing.
Whoa, hold on. Involving solo. Can a solo performer be called a chamber musician?
Not strictly speaking in some contexts, but for the purposes of like a festival of chamber music, yeah, you'd have solo works as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was confused there. Yeah, okay. Cool.
So it's not chamber music the skill, but it can be like, if you're going to be having like a load of chamber music, you'd probably find some solo players.
Right, yeah, of course, yeah. How was the festival? How did the rank match up to previous years?
Yeah, marvelous. I was working at it. I was kind of working more than I'd worked previous years, but it was good, and it's a wonderful surroundings. It's a really, really beautiful part of the world. It's absolutely gorgeous down there by the sea and mountains behind you.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours who is particularly skilled at photography put up some pictures, and yeah, it looks stunning. I've never been, but it looks absolutely stunning down there.
Yeah, and lovely food. Really fresh seafood. Yeah, I had a really good time.
Cool, very good, man. So does your travel? Where did your travels take you after that?
Well, I had to leave a day early.
Oh no!
I missed the last day of the festival because I was going to another event in Dublin, which is where I saw Rajugi Gabrielle.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. So I got up real early, and I'd been like working late, like 10 days in a row, and getting up early 10 days in a row. So I was exhausted at the end of this, and I had to get up super early to get into Cork City, to get back up to Dublin. And because I'd been working so hard, I hadn't really planned what I was doing, and the whole thing was a bit of a mess, and I was in a really bad mood. Aww. And I went to the train station to get a train to Dublin, and it was going to be like 70 quid or something. Because it was super expensive, and I was like really tired and stressed, and the woman at the desk was like, oh well, you can get it cheaper if you go and buy one online, and you can get any...
Wait, no, that's false.
Why?
Because you can only get it cheaper if you book like a couple of days in advance of your journey.
Well, she said it would be like 72 to buy it at the desk, and like maybe 60 something to get it online, and I could get like a 4 o'clock train, but use that ticket on any train, was what she said.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to try and do that, and I was trying to do it on my phone to book one online, and it wouldn't work. And then it was trying to make me book a specific seat, so I queued again and went back up to her, and she was really rude to me. She was like, "Oh, you're not getting it, are you?" And she spoke to me like it was really thick, and she like tapped her head as though like you're stupid. So that was very upsetting. And then I tried it again, and then I got really angry, and I went and I got a bus instead, and it was like half the price, and I just slept anyway, so it didn't matter, and I was able to charge my phone and everything. So, yeah, that was my unpleasant Irish Rail experience. The lady was really nasty to me.
Okay, can I just riff off the Irish Rail thing for a second?
Yeah, work away.
Dear listeners, Cork to Dublin is like, what is it? What would that be? Like a 2.5 hour train journey? Maybe
2.5 to 3 hours, yeah.
2.5 to 3 hours. Just listen to what Bill said there. It's €70, right, to do that. That is like the most outrageous price ever. Our train system in Ireland is shockingly expensive. Now, admittedly, it's not like England's train system, because the cost of English trains is huge, but Irish trains are not great as well. The problems Bill had, sorry Bill, I'm just ignoring you and talking to the internet. The problems Bill had with the app and all that are like just are like, I have to deal with that.
Oh, no, not with the app, because the app you can't book tickets with. You can only look at times.
You can't book tickets with the app?
Nope.
Oh, well, okay, this is, I was about to go on and say that the app is inept and doesn't really function, so that just proves my point. It's just, and then the rude staff. Now, I get that there's nice staff as well, but I've had, like, confrontations with staff at Irish Rail as well, and they've been really, like, hideously awful. I had one lad, like shove me up, push me over.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was going for a train. I was, the train was about to leave, like, in something like a minute or two, and I was legging it, trying to reach for the door. And as I try and, like, lunge through the closing doors, this staff member just basically puts a hand on my chest and forces me back, and I end up falling over. And I was like, what are you doing, man? You can't do that. And they just gave me an earful. And I went and complained.
You can't assault me.
Yeah, I know, right? And I went and complained, and they were like, oh, he's just doing his job because, you see, the doors close a minute before the train leaves. Oh, that's the thing as well. The train was still standing there while I was being pushed away. And they were like, the doors close a minute before it leaves, so you weren't allowed on. And I was like, fine, man. But, like, he can't do that to me. So I had to file a complaint, and no one cared. No one was even in the least bit, like, remorseful. Like, just out of, like, common courtesy, someone might go, like, we're sorry that the quality of the journey has been lessened due to this. How can we help you? It was just kind of like I was seen as a big inconvenience to everyone. The whole company and the whole rail network in Ireland is the most, like, inept, awfully run, terribly ignorant thing I have ever come across, and I hate it with every fibre of my being. So I say this with all the sincerity I can muster, Bill, when I say I'm really sorry for you. It's that company, like, Anyhow, I'm sorry.
No, that's entirely fine. That's entirely fine.
So, so you got back up to Dublin, and then did your journey end there, or is there more?
No, there's more.
What did you do next?
So I'd been living, like, out of my bag for 10 days. So I had, 10 days of clothes and, like, stuff in a big kit bag. And I was like, I was going to a concert that night. And it'd be fine. I'll get up and I'll find a hostel. There's a bunch of hostels that I usually try and stay in when I'm in Dublin. Should be fine. And it was not fine, Edgar. let me tell you, it was not fine.
Okay.
Because not only was the concert I was attending on that night, also Beyonce was on that night.
Oh no.
There was not a single hostel bed to be found in the entirety of Dublin City.
There was no room in the inn, Bill.
There was no room in the inn for poor pregnant Mary.
So what did you do?
I moped around Dublin for about like an hour and a half or 2 hours, carrying my massively heavy bag that I'd been living out of for 10 days. And I eventually found a hostel where you could leave your bag for like a £5, even if you weren't staying there.
Oh, that's a nice little service.
It was a very nice little service, and I thank them for it, and I will patronise them again. But then I was fine, and I stopped being sad, and I went to see the Stone Roses.
Okay, so hang on, you seen Rodrigo Gabriela in Dublin, and then you also seen the Stone Roses in Dublin.
Yes.
Okay, all right, Jesus.
Because they were at the same concert.
That makes sense.
There were 3 acts. It was in Marley Park.
Okay.
And it was Soak, who I don't know if you've heard of, and
No.
Rodrigo Gabriela and the Stone Roses.
Yeah, I've only really heard of one of those bands, to be fair. So.
Okay. Well, Soak is I think Soak is her rather than the band. Let me just check. And I think she's from up north somewhere.
Okay.
And it's sort of dreamy kind of pop. But it's got some kind of like texture, like really kind of heavy textural bits. I really enjoyed what I heard. I didn't know any before I went to see them. Before I went to see her. I enjoyed it a lot. And then Rodrigo Gabriela we've talked about. Mm-hmm. Mexican guitar players. And the Stone Roses are a Manchester band from the early 90s.
Oh yeah, I don't know who they are.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic. They're really, really good.
Okay, alright.
They're really, really good. And they're all like really old, like they're all like in their 50s and stuff now. And
ancient.
they don't look. I mean, like for pop stars, you know, they were famous over 20 years ago, and they're not like in the best of shape because they're kind of staggering around the stage a bit. But it was like really, really good, and it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever had in a concert. Like everyone was just super into it.
Cool.
And like everyone was singing along, and there was just like a really nice atmosphere, and yeah. Cool. So that was really, really good. Everyone was wearing bucket hats, and I felt really left out that I didn't have a bucket hat.
Why was everyone wearing bucket hats?
I guess that was just kind of like the look at the time, like when they were around first, like in the early 90s.
Oh, wait, hang on. Maybe you need to define bucket hat for me. I'm thinking of like a KFC bucket turned over and put on your head.
No, not like bucket head.
So what's a bucket hat?
I will send you a Google image bucket hat, man.
You're the Googler. I don't Google for fear of everything crashing. Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. But if
no, okay, it's fine. I'll send it to you.
I'm doing it. It's fine. bucket hat. If this podcast crashes, man, it's completely your fault. Ah, okay, it's the I'm going fishing hat.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Oh, Bill wanted a bucket hat. Bill, I'll tell you this now for free, man. I don't think bucket hats would suit you.
No, hats don't suit me. My head's too big. I can't find hats that fit me.
It's too big.
It is. My head. I've got like a physically large head.
Do you?
Well, I mean, I find it hard to find hats that fit me. Like hats in hat shops don't really fit me most of the time.
Alright, okay, that's interesting. I've never had this problem, to be fair.
Because you don't have a physically large head.
No, I guess not. I guess it's just like the rest of me, it's all petite and dainty.
Yeah, you're only wee.
So, you were sad about not having a bucket hat. You wanted to be in with all the cool kids. But I'm assuming that they accepted you as one of their own. They didn't, like, berate you or anything.
No, they didn't berate me.
Good.
No one berated me.
That's nice. That's good.
Yeah.
So what happened after that?
Then I went back into Dublin and I got my bag back from the hostel and I got a bus home to Carlo and everything was fine.
Well, you have to finish with the end, man. Jesus. Alexander, earlier he finished his story with the end, so I think
right.
I think you have to finish your story at the end. So let's take that second line again. That last line again.
So I went back to the hostel and got my bag back and I got a bus and then a taxi home and everything was fine. The end.
Yes. Excellent.
When you said finish with the end, I didn't know you had like quotation marks around the end. So it's like I did finish with the end. That's where the story ends. Like I mean, just
Oh no, but Bill, I was doing air quotes like.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I didn't see you do the air quotes. How foolish of me.
And in case anyone doesn't get that, we don't see each other when we do the podcast.
No, it's audio Skype only. I'm sick of looking at you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know what? You have ruined Skype for me. I can't, like, well, I do it with my girlfriend, but other than that, it's very hard to visual Skype people. Like,
really?
This is comfortable, the audio thing. But when someone's there looking at you, it's very, very strange. I find it very hard to deal with. Jeez, Bill, I flew halfway across the world, and I don't have half as much to talk about as you. That's crazy. It was an awesome time. That's amazing. Making the most of the summer, man. That's really cool.
Making the most of the summer, and then I've just been playing video games otherwise.
I have. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me just take a note of that. I might bring that up in a second. Completely not on the show notes, but there you go. I nearly died on the way home from Korea.
Nearly died on the way home from Korea?
I nearly
Cool.
died. I know, right? I nearly died over Siberia. That's nearly happened to me. It just popped into my head there. I forgot to say this earlier. I had the worst return flight ever. Like,
no way.
Like ever. And I'm scared of flying. We've established this in previous podcasts. Edgar is terrified of everything. Flying is up there with one of my strongest fears. I don't fly very well. And I had a 14-hour stopover in Osaka, Japan, overnight.
Oh dear.
That was awful.
That's going the wrong direction.
Yeah, it is. That's the worst thing about it. It's kind of like you're sitting there going, it's the middle of the night, there's no one here, I'm on my own, I'm really hungry, and I'm not getting any closer to home.
Oh, was that where the abandoned airport was? That you were the only person in it?
Yes, I put up a thing.
That was in Osaka. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
For listeners, I put up a little sort of Facebook video on my personal feed, or my personal page, of me just being in an airport on my own. There was no one else in the airport. Great crack. But anyhow, so I had that, sleepless because I didn't sleep. So 14 hours straight through the night, didn't sleep. Got on the plane. Plane was delayed for ages. And then we got up into the air. And I have never experienced turbulence like what was on that flight. It was like the plane was violently like jolting up and down. And there was like people were really anxious, and there was like stewardesses falling all around the place. You could hear at the backs like things coming loose and clattering all around. And I there was a kid sitting across the way from me, and I turned to his friend and was like, "Are we gonna die?" And it was like that bad. And logically, I realized that it's very hard for a plane to crash from turbulence. I get that. And I get that the stresses the wings can be under before they fail is huge and nothing like what can ever occur in normal flying conditions. But nevertheless, for about 45 minutes to an hour, all up the stretch of North Korea and across the top of Siberia.
45 minutes to an hour?
Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour. At one point, and I didn't even check like at the very start, like it had gone on. And then I was like, this is going on for a long time. So on the headrest, I checked the time and the location of where we were. And then like 45 minutes later, I checked again and we were still in turbulence.
Oh, God.
It was the worst thing. And then I landed in Paris. Okay, I flew, so it was Korea to Japan to Paris. Landed in Paris, was very, very hungry and bought the cheapest sandwich I could find, which came in at, and I kid you not, €11 for a sandwich. I went to so many vendors and nothing was cheap. Everything was like extortionate. On the upside, I was congratulated for being Irish by numerous people. Numerous French people working there were all like, "Hey, where do you come from?" And I'm like, "Ireland." And they're like, "Your fans," at the football, "your fans at the European Championships were amazing. Congratulations on being part of that amazing thing." And I was like, "Thanks. I didn't have much to do with it." And
wasn't me, but I'll take your thanks.
I'll take your thanks.
For context, for international and particularly non-European listeners, the Euros Championships was recently, which is like the Europe-wide soccer championship. And it was held in France, and there was a whole thing about the Irish fans going around France being really fun and really nice, as opposed to, the typical view of soccer fans, particularly English soccer fans, being football hooligans and, causing fights and, fighting with fans from other countries and things. The Irish are just going around partying and rescuing lost kittens and fixing people's cars and things.
Yeah, so
and it was all over Facebook. There was loads of videos of it and stuff on Facebook.
There was there were a group of Irish lads fixed the that elderly couple's car. What was another event? Oh, a group of Irish fans sang a lullaby to a baby on a train, and then they also serenaded a nun and a random girl, and lots of antics with like just sports in the streets. They were just really great. They're amazing. So yeah, I was congratulated for being Irish. Then we got on a CityJet plane, Bill, which flew me from Paris to Dublin, and that was a little bit better, but not a lot. In terms of turbulence, I had the worst trip back. So there you go.
That sounds bad.
It was.
What was in your €11 sandwich?
I believe it was just ham and cheese. I can't really remember.
That's boring.
Like, it was a really
€11.
Well, yeah, Bill, I went for the cheapest one I could find.
Honestly, at that rate, if I was going to be spending like €11 on like a cheap, boring sandwich, I might as well spend like 30 quid on a good burger.
Actually, oh god, they didn't have like fast food places, but I hate to see what they cost. Like, it's ridiculous. Do you know what's an interesting fact, Bill? Do you know what the most expensive city in the world is?
For expats?
No, they're just expensive, as in you land and try to purchase something in that city.
I don't know. Maybe give me some clues in a minute. I do know that a few years ago, the most expensive place for foreigners to live was Luanda in Angola.
That's the one, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
That's the one. What is it? The thing I found out recently was that a sandwich there is about 20-something euro.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's
That's
crazy.
how we make our millions, Edgar. We move to Angola and become sandwich magnates.
Yeah, exactly. I must read up on the culture surrounding why that happened. Because, I mean, like, not to belittle Angola, but why Angola? Like, you'd imagine it would be, like, Tokyo or New York, but, like, Luanda from Angola? Like, it's weird, strange.
Yeah, I don't think it has, like, a huge oil industry or anything. And, I mean, like, Angola was at war, it had a civil war for ages and ages and ages.
Yeah.
Maybe it had a huge boom after the war. I don't know. I have a friend living in Luanda.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, would you pick their brains about this?
Possibly.
Okay, because it would be interesting to find out. That's and also a very interesting place to go. Can I ask? Do you know why your friend moved there?
Because they're Angolan.
Because they're Angolan. Okay, all right, that makes sense. Oh wait, no. So they always were from that city.
No.
Oh,
we
no.
went to school together.
Oh, okay. There you go. Expensive sandwiches. That was the best part of that trip. Anyhow, so what is left on our thing to do? Now, wait, actually, no, sorry. Before you say it, we have a very, very important thing to talk about on our show notes, but it is coming up close on 2 hours of recording. So, I have a proposition, Bill.
Yeah.
Given the weight of the topic that we should be discussing next, could we perhaps record that in its own episode?
Okay, yeah, if you want.
Because otherwise, this could turn into like a 3-hour-long show.
Okay, so we'll do one more topic, and then leave it at that. Or maybe do some green room or something, and then today's purported main topic will become a different podcast.
Will become its own thing, yeah. Because I think maybe
Okay.
that should merit its own thing, you know.
Okay, cool.
So what do we have left on? Oh, you're arbiter of the show notes. What have we got left
I am.
to do, Bill?
Stop muscling into my territory. All we have left is flag corner.
We'd also, sorry, you gave me some news about some friends of yours doing something interesting you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, that's on the show notes.
Muscle into your territory.
Yeah, back off, man. So if we've got any people of Artifexia, I'm going to take that again. So if we have any Artifexia fans who like to play board games, 2 friends of mine are about to launch their first board game.
Oh, cool.
The Kickstarter should be up, if not by time of release of this podcast, then shortly afterwards. It's the company is called Turtle Dream Games.
Awesome.
And, well, you can put a link to their Facebook and everything and their website in the show notes. And the first game that they're going to release is called Exquisite Beast.
Exquisite Beast.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Exquisite Beast. And it is, I think it's for 2 to 4 players, where each player takes on the role of a mad scientist trying to build a monster. You know, a Dr. Frankenstein trying to make a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing.
Ooh.
And you have to compete against each other, and you have to collect different body parts. And there's a timer until when the storm strikes, and it gives you the electricity to animate your monster. And then you send your monster out in the world to harass the villagers, etc., etc.
Huh.
And the art is fabulous, and I haven't played it myself yet, but it's been play tested over the last couple of months, and I'm hoping to get a stab at it this weekend.
Cool.
After recording. And yeah, all the links and everything will be put in the show notes, and the Kickstarter should be launching in the very near future. So I'm going to make a wild assumption that some of our listeners might be into board games, and say that you should check this out, because I think it's going to be a very good product.
Definitely cool. And I think I've said this before on the show. I'm a big fan of trying to help out mates, like friends of the show, you know? So I'm totally for this. Like, go show your love to Bill's mates there and make it awesome. Yeah, don't forget to be awesome, lads. On the subject of board games, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got a favorite board game?
Well, you and I both love Scrabble, Edgar.
We do both love Scrabble. We do. We do.
What other board games are there? I've played a couple of board games in the last while with when I've gone over to see the art historian.
Okay.
The very good one called Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Never heard of it.
It's terrific fun. It's a collaborative board game.
Oh, no, you've lost me, man.
Well, bear with me, where the players are like investigating a haunted house. So you're the Scooby Gang, seeing what's going on or you're the teenagers from the horror film seeing what's going on in this haunted house, and you build the house as you go. It's kind of randomly built each time.
Okay.
Until a certain point in which something changes and one of you becomes the bad guy, and then you have to fight against each other.
Okay.
So basically, I've only played it the one time, and what happened was we were going along, and whatever event triggered the change, and the change is that one of the players became the werewolf, and then the other players had to gang together to stop the werewolf.
Okay. That's better than what I expected. My trepidation there is that I find collaborative board games just tedious and just awful to play. Hate them. But yeah, if it goes into competitive mode, yeah, that sounds interesting.
I recommend it. I enjoyed it a lot. I haven't played a lot of board games, to be honest. I've only played Settler of Catan once in Polish.
No, you've only played... Hang on, because the whole reason why I asked about board games was to talk about Settlers. You've only played it once, Bill.
I've only played it once in Polish.
Oh, Bill.
I've only played it once in any language, and the one time I played it in Polish, just to
the Polish
clear up any possible ambiguity there.
The Polish thing is pretty cool, to be fair. But I can't believe you only played it once. Man, if we ever see each other again in person, we should play some Settlers. I'm looking at the box right in front of me. I could bring it up and we could have a game.
Cool.
Although we need extra people. My one criticism of Settlers, you need 3 people. And yes, internet, I know of Settlers for 2 people. It's okay. It's fine. I know. It exists.
But you don't like it.
From what I gather, it's like a card game, which doesn't really appeal to me. I am thinking at some stage, Bill, of just buying all of the expansion packs for Settlers and having a big, massive, giant Settlers board and playing that. I kind of really want to do that.
Take over a room in your house and make it the Catan room.
Yeah, who needs a bedroom? Who needs to sleep? Who needs that? You can just have the Catan room. But there you go. Scrabble and Settlers, my 2 favourite board games. Not very original, not very out there, but I really do adore those 2 board games.
Yeah, Scrabble was great.
And of course, Exquisite Beasts. Alright, so do you want to do flag corner?
Yeah. Do you have a wonderful flag for me to... Oh, Edgar.
Oh, Bill.
I don't know, maybe you didn't see this, but a friend of mine posted up a thing a few days ago that I tagged you in, but maybe you couldn't see the tag because it was for his friends list only.
I wasn't tagged in anything by you, so no.
Oh, okay. Well, a friend of mine put up a picture, and the caption of the picture is, "Why are we still making flags when Железногорsk has already been made?" I commented on that saying, "Edgar, I told you so."
That's hilarious, but I'm not conceding the point. It's an awful flag.
It's a marvellous flag.
You know what the funny thing is? I'm not alone. We have received emails before being like, Edgar, you're right. Which is nice. But it's cool to see that in the wild. And this is no relation to the podcast or anything.
No, it was just a friend of mine had seen the flag of Железногорsk and he recognised it for the marvellous creation that it is. The work of sheer, unadulterated deadly. Yeah,
but like, can I just make the point here, right? The Atomic Bear Science flag, right? Like, it's a fun flag, okay? Like, it's really fun and it's like, and all of that. But in terms of like, lads, this is a real flag, it just doesn't work.
In terms of lads, this is a real flag. It is clearly the best lads. This is a real flag because look at it.
No, clearly the best flag that, to be fair, it isn't made, but it should be made, is a flag you came up with, Bill.
What was that?
Nordic Libya.
Is that a green cross on a green background?
Yeah. That's the best flag ever. Anyhow, so...
Of course, it's not the Libyan flag anymore.
No, they've upgraded it to a real flag, which, I don't know. Like, the original Libyan flag was obviously terrible, but it's kind of like... I liked it for that, you know?
It had a certain charm.
It did. It was just green. Like, it's a no-nonsense sort of thing. It's like, you know what you're going to get with Libya. In any case, Bill. Sorry. Like, should we do Fat Corner?
Yeah, let's.
Okay, I don't want to send you a link just quite yet.
Okay.
Mainly because I think you know this flag. So this is very much just a conversation with the listeners, more than anything else. This is the Lasenia Bermea from the Zamora province in Spain.
I do not think I know it, no.
Okay, alright, I'll send you the link. I will send you the link so you can see it. I'm going to send you a link to a big write-up on it, on Imager, which is going to be relevant.
Okay, well this looks stupid.
Okay, right, now it's actually great, right? Okay, so, for the listeners... The Lasenia Bermea, now I'm pronouncing that totally wrong, so I'm really, really sorry, is not a flag. Okay? It's a pendon, apparently. Again, possibly pronouncing it wrong. Pendon. It's something that's more akin to like a medieval standard.
Okay.
Right? And it is really cool because in its ancient form, in its medieval form, it was not a unified piece of cloth. It was 9 strips, 9 strips of cloths not connected, tied independently to the pole. Okay, and so how this came about, it's really fascinating, is that there's this guy in the early BC, like 100 BC or something like that. He was like a military general or something, and when fighting off Roman invasions, when he defeated them, he would take a strip of their red cloaks, and then keep it for himself and display it as a sign of victory.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So he tied them onto this thing, and apparently he must have had 8 victories, or the Zamora province in Spain must have had 8 victories, because there's 8 red strips, and there's also 1 green strip, right? Because the Zamoran, this place, did a great act of charity for a neighbouring area, and King Ferdinand the Catholic presented the province with a green strip to go on their flag as well. So that's the idea of the standard, like the flailed standard, amazing, so cool, so amazing. And then they messed it all up by trying to make it into a flag.
What was the great act of charity?
They just helped out someone during a time of war, like they came to the aid of a neighbouring town.
Oh, okay.
It was during the Battle of Toro.
When was that?
1476.
Okay, so that was part of the Reconquista or something, I wonder.
You're the expert in this, not me. I wouldn't know.
Battle of Toro. Let's find out.
So, listeners, while Bill is Googling, they took this flailed standard, like, think of it as 8 red strips tied independently to a pole, and then a green strip tied independently to a pole. They took this and tried to flagify it. And by doing so, what they've done is they've kind of like put the 9 strips on like a white background, and it doesn't quite fit in the white background. Yep. And it's like the white background like separates the strips to try and like give the sense that they were independent, and it looks stupid. It looks awful. And then there's also a variation where it's like a black background. So you have like 8 or 9 strips on a black background. Terrible looking, right? But that's not even the worst part, Bill. You know what the worst part is? Their coat of arms, right? Scroll down on the link I sent you to their coat of arms.
Oh dear.
Now, really quickly, can you see anything in there that strikes you as being immediately wrong? Not aesthetically displeasing, because there's a lot of that, but actually just wrong.
The hand has 5 fingers and a thumb.
The hand has 6 fingers. Yes, it has 6 digits. That's the thing I was saying earlier. The hand
has too many fingers.
The hand has way too many fingers. And there's another mistake. Can he spot it?
Is there too many is there the wrong number of strips in the thing? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 red strips, and then a 12th green one.
Okay, so to make absolutely sure for the listener,
so whoever designed this can't count.
So again, for the listener, the original standard was 8 red strips and a green strip. The person who made the coat of arms has how many red strips did you say?
On the coat of arms, I think there's 11 red strips, and then the 12th one is green.
So 11 red strips and 1 green strips. They misrepresented the flag of the area their coat of arms is meant to be about. And on top of it, the dude holding the pole has 6 digits. Like, that segment of that coat of arms on one hand is an absolute write-off.
And it's really disproportionate as well. Like, his forearm is way too short.
Like, it's not pretty. Like, it is not a good look at all. And overall as well, like, it's just not a nice looking coat of arms. But that section, that left section is just completely awful. Despite this, right, there's a saving thing about this whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 things. Number 1, different areas in this province are so, they feel such an affinity for this standard that they've kind of used it as a design influence for all of their flags. So you have this great sense of like design community going on, and it seems to have like pervaded the culture in that region of Spain, whereby like the flag creeps into pop culture. Like, there's apparently a superhero, if you scroll down you'll see it, there's a superhero whose design is based on the flag.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which is amazing. And on a serious note, and this is why I wanted to bring up the flag, it's that like people often say like, why do you care about flags? Like, what's the point? They're just silly. Like, no one cares. Tied to a good flag can be an awful lot of like civic pride. Like, it can be a thing where people can get behind, and you know, you can identify behind this flag, and it can inform your culture and all of these sort of things. This, I think, is a great example of that. It's a really interesting standard that became a not so interesting flag, but nonetheless people got behind it, and then they like started using that and like drew a sense of community from it. I think it's great. I'll put the links to the thing I sent Bill. You should read up all about what this guy says about his flag. It's great. It's amazing. So there you go.
Awesome.
Not so much flag corner. Well, it is flag corner. It's good standard flag coat of arms corner.
Yeah, flag with a cool background.
Flag with a cool background.
Like a cool history, not background as in design background. I mean, background as in backstory.
Yeah, I was like, Bill, that white background is part of the problem, not the solution. I want to propose a solution.
There's one last thing though. This one here, where it's the white, like when it doesn't have the kind of the peaks at the end, where it's just the rectangle, the red stripes, the 1 green stripe, and the white background, as in background of the flag. That looks like a tablecloth. It
looks like it. It does. It does. But to be fair, that's not something vexillologicers, I can't even say it, flag makers shy away from. Like, you know, all the county flags from Ireland, the unofficial county flags, they're all just checkered. Like the sports flag. You know, that's not that bad. It's more that they've kind of failed to misrepresent the awesomeness of what the standard was.
Yeah.
You know what I think they should have done? Now, I'm no flag maker, but why don't they have the solid bit of cloth, and then at the end cut it to imply that it is segmented? Just cut it a little bit. Like, I get that there's a fraying issue there, but I mean, like, there's so much history embedded in the fact that it's not a single bit of cloth that I think it's, you know, we kind of live in a sort of post-scarcity environment relative to like the 15th century. So I mean, like, we should be able to fork out for new flags every so often. That would be like, they should have the European version of the Nepal flag, where you have bits sticking out to imply that it's flayed. Yeah. There you go. Edgar solves all the world's problems. So a bit of a spin on flag corner there. It's not as as some previous ones, but it's awesome. I wanted to bring it up. All right, Bill.
Edgar.
2 hours, 11 minutes.
That's not bad.
Considering we didn't even get near the main topic.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so will we, seeing as this entire podcast has essentially been one giant green room, shall we not go to the green room and maybe call it here for today?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Listeners, I will hopefully nab Bill if he's free relatively soon after this recording, and we will hopefully record this like part 2 for this episode and have that up ASAP as well. Almost as an apology for being very late with this episode.
Get back on track. Get back up on the schedule.
Get back up on the schedule. All right, okay, Bill.
Edgar.
It's been too long, and I missed you, man. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, of course. It's been good to catch up.
Well, I'll see you next time, and I'll see all the listeners in the comments on the subreddit. Yeah?
See us there.
All right. All the best, Bill.
Edgar out.
Edgar out.
Jack the Ripper is kind of suggested by the title, but I like the show in that it doesn't ever actually directly deal with Jack the Ripper.
Oh, so it's like a real clickbaity title for a TV show.